Hello and welcome to the Race Asylum YouTube channel. So this time we're going to be looking at the Circuit Experience Challenge and the best 2 laps. If you want to join in, please join the Discord in the link in the description. It's me versus Os this week and we are at Tokyo East Clockwise, I believe it is. So obviously this first bit nice and easy, flat out. But if you look, see mine top left, Austin bottom right, and I keep the car really straight. And it just gains that little bit extra in this first sector. It's not a huge amount, but it just cuts that corner off slightly and gains that little bit extra time. So you're both very similar, both very close to that wall there, and both down into second. In the second part again, both down into second and both very early back up into fourth. So taking very similar lines there, but it did look like I maybe was a little bit faster through, but it's hard to tell. Very similar lines. Yeah, as you see, we gain about 2 tenths there overall, so we must have just carried a bit more apex speed at both of those corners than us. But here is where you really see the time gain. You see half a break from me by the looks of it, but it looks like us slows down a lot more than we do through that section. But when we slow the lap down after, we'll look at that a bit closer. Both have to take a lift through there by the looks of it, which you can actually do that flat if you get the line right. And again, we've gained another 2 tenths, so sector 2 and 3 is where the big gains have been made here. And Os down into third, it looked like there. We stayed in fourth, but very similar lines. And then very similar lines there. Looks like Os maybe got slightly better exits. Hard to tell. Very similar lines though through there. Os keeps it in 5th there to the end, whereas we go up into 6th. And again, very similar round, but we have to lift on the exit. Os gets a much better exit than we do by changing late, but we do pip that sector again just. But Oster's got a better exit out of that final corner, so this last sector just being flat out, he might get us in this sector. We'll have to see when we cross the line. Let's see now then. And yeah, Os does just pip us in that final sector. I thought it looked like he got a better exit, keeping the car in the early upshift to second. But now we're going to watch him through in half speed. But obviously this first bit we'll leave at full speed because it's just flat out. So it's pointless checking this out at half speed. So as you see the big difference here, I keep the car really straight, whereas Osti's following the lane a bit more. And by keeping the car straight, you just cut that corner off, and that's what gains you the extra time. So we just slow it down now, braking just after the 100-metre mark. And both turning in, both down into second. About 2 mile an hour more apex speed I think I carried there, and I'm getting a little bit closer to the wall than Os does as well. And then again there, again another 2 or 3 mile an hour extra on the apex. So that's the difference through sector 1, is I just carried 2 or 3 miles per hour more at both apexes through them first 2 corners. So we probably gained a tenth on each of them from that, which obviously gets us our 2 tenths overall. So you can start to see I am slightly ahead of Ost here, but it's very hard to tell. It's not by a huge amount. But if you just watch coming into this corner, I don't hit the brakes fully. Ost does. We trail brake into the corner, which is a little bit awkward, then let it roll off and then get back on the power. Ost with braking more gets on the power earlier than we do, but his apex speed is probably 6 mile an hour slower than mine. So even though he gets back on the power that little bit earlier, because he's carrying less speed through the corner, that's where the real difference is made in this sector. And then through there we both have to take a slight lift, and I change up to 6, Os keeps it in 5th, which I was doing, but I found changing to 6 just dropped you 1 mile an hour normally, which just allowed you to not understeer into the wall, but we got our angle wrong there and had to lift anyway. And then it's just a slight lift round the next, both the same. And then here, Os into 3rd, I stayed in 4th, but the lines and the speed is very, very similar here, so not much in it. See, Os gets much closer into that apex than we did. Looks like we maybe had a tiny lift on exit or a bit of a delay getting on power, whereas Os could get on the power much nicer. So Os gained on us on the exit of that corner there, probably by a little bit, maybe half a tenth. But as you see, when we end the sector, we did manage to pick the entire sector by half a tenth. But coming into this final corner, as I said, I used 6, both down into first. Very similar apex speed. Os drops to 33, we drop to 34. But you look, we just struggle on the exit, and then we have to lift to not go into that wall. Because I did do that once or twice where I really tried to get on the power and the car slid, and as I tried to hold it, I clipped that wall, and I invalidated the lap from doing that, so I had to lift on that one. So this is why Os gets us back. So obviously just speed this final bit back up just to, because it's pointless, it's just flat out. But as you see, Os does just pip us in that final sector. So that was a very good lap from Os there, but just needs a little bit more on that middle sector mostly, just to try and carry that bit more speed. But if you enjoyed that, please like and subscribe. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.